Hey, welcome to Black Rock. My name is Dan and I'm on staff here. Before the sermon starts, I want to take a second to invite you to join us in person if you're able. We have a thriving and diverse community of Christ followers that meets in person every week on Sunday morning at 8:30, 10, and 11:30 a.m. If you have any questions about visiting or about our church in general, feel free to check out blackrock.org/visit or email me at guests@blackrock.org. Now, here's the sermon.
Probably everyone in this room and joining us online, including me, has asked, why doesn't God always answer me when I pray? Jesus deals with this question head on in today's story, the parable of the persistent widow. Oop.
We want candy.
You want candy? I'm in the middle of a sermon here. Can't you see that I'm preaching to these people? Go see your mom and dad and come back later. Let's get back to the story. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what people thought. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care what people think, just because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually come and attack me. And the Lord said, listen to what the unjust, what? Again? I didn't even finish the scripture yet. You still want candy? I can't do it right now. See me later, go away. Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? Now, in the Jewish culture of Jesus' day, widows were valued and seen as vulnerable members of society. They often had no way to support themselves and no one to defend their rights. For this reason, the Bible advocates special care for these women. In the book of Deuteronomy, we learn God defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow and loves the foreigner residing among you, giving them food and clothing. And in the New Testament, James declares, religion that our God accepts as pure. All right, I'll give you candy. One for you. One for you. Give me a hug. Go away, you're driving me batty. In the New Testament, James declares, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. The widow in our story was struggling with a breach of justice that led her to seek help from a local judge. I'm sure she knew this magistrate's reputation as an individual who couldn't care less what God or people thought about him. So we can assume that even though we're not given the details of the case, it must have been serious enough to motivate the woman to seek help from this uncaring, unscrupulous judge. Now, Jesus shares this story at a time when his followers are facing untold challenges as they move toward the momentous events in Jerusalem, which ultimately would culminate in his death. He's preparing them for what's about to happen by emphasizing the vital importance of tenacious, don't let go prayers when facing huge obstacles. You may believe that asking the Lord for something over and over again shows lack of faith and runs the risk of annoying or even ticking God off. That's not what the Bible teaches. The Lord longs to hear don't let go prayers from you and me because it shows our absolute trust in him, especially when times are tough. In Matthew 7, Jesus says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be open. In these verses, the present imperative tense of the verbs ask, seek, and knock call for repeated action. In other words, continue to ask, go on seeking, and keep knocking. Jesus is teaching you and me to consistently and persistently pray, don't let go prayers. Developing a don't let go prayer life also builds our relationship with God. As we constantly surrender everything to the Lord in prayer, we develop a stronger emotional, mental, and spiritual connection with the God who hears and answers. So as we seek to partner with the Lord in effective prayer that moves him toward us, we should be asking 3 questions. Am I praying smart prayers? Am I praying don't let go prayers? And finally, do I understand that with God, no doesn't always mean no? Praying smart prayers simply means asking for what aligns with God's character, his purposes, and biblical revelation. The widow asked for justice against her adversary. She came to the judge with a fair, just cause. Likewise, when we come to God, it's important to be sure that our requests line up with his just character and eternal purposes. There's a big difference between these 2 prayers. Lord, please give me a larger house for my junk. Lord, please give me a larger home so I can host a community group and help people in my church who need a place to stay. Too often, my prayers seem to treat God and prayer as if it is simply a hotline to the heavenly online store with guaranteed next day delivery. Daniel 10 records one of the greatest don't let go prayers in the Bible. A hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. He said, Daniel, you who are highly esteemed, consider carefully the words I am about to speak to you and stand up, for I have been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up trembling. Then he continued, do not be afraid, Daniel, since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me, listen, for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me because I was detained there with the king of Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the future, for the vision concerns a time yet to come. Friends, the lesson of this story is clear. If Daniel had given up, become discouraged, upset with God at day 5 or day 10 or even day 19, he may never have received his answer. But because he refused to let go, the angel was empowered to break through the struggle in the heavens with the message. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. My friends, we're in a war. When you came to Jesus as your Savior, the enemy lost the greatest battle of all eternity. He no longer has any control over your destiny. But Satan is the worst loser you will ever meet. So he reasons, if I can't have your forever, I'll focus my energy on stealing, robbing from you all the blessings, all the joy, all the peace Jesus longs to pour out on you. Against his schemes, the main tool in our arsenal to defeat the devil's plans is prayer that refuses to give up until I hear from the Lord on high. Let me ask you this: how badly do you need an answer from God today in some area of your life? Just like Jacob, who had an all-night wrestling match with the angel, we must be willing to cry out, I will not let you go until you bless me. Here's my personal favorite don't let go prayer story. 16 years ago, when I came to Black Rock Church, God downloaded into my mind, my spirit, my heart, this message. Gaylord, I'm calling you to begin a small group ministry to people at Black Rock Church who are dealing with areas of brokenness, pain, and trauma in their lives. I prayed for 1 year. I prayed for 2 years. I prayed for 3 long years. I prayed for 4 years. Nothing happened. Every time I tried to start that ministry, the door was shut in my face. Then when we moved into our new expanded facility, in 3 months, our first 5 facilitators came to me, I didn't seek them, and said, Pastor G, I've been healing up from an area of brokenness, pain, and trauma in my life, and I want to know, is Black Rock Church courageous enough to start a group to help me pour into the lives of my brothers and sisters who are in the same place? 6 months later, our Living Free Support Group ministry was born and has served hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. I urge you, if you're listening to my voice today and you're struggling with an area of brokenness, of pain, of trauma. You love the Lord, you're going to heaven, but something is holding you back from the abundant life. Check out our meet and greet on Sunday the 24th and see what God has in store for you. Now, one of our oldest grandsons named Ryan, he's on the screen. Shout out to Ryan in Wisconsin this morning. Ryan, a number of years ago, had just gone through his school's DARE program. That is the Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Some of you may know one of the bylines of that program. When it comes to drugs, just say no. Well, Ryan was having some fun with this when his grandma, Mimi, all of our grandkids call Sharon Mimi, was visiting. Now, when Sharon visits, she likes to snuggle. She likes to kiss on the grandkids. It's a little embarrassing, to tell you the truth. Ryan looked at her one night and said, "No, Mimi." That just egged Sharon on. She was snuggling and kissing him even more. "Mimi, I said no." She just kept at it. Finally, Ryan looked at her and said, "Mimi, no means no." Did you know that with the Lord, no doesn't always mean no? Here are two examples from the Bible when God appears to change his mind. Exodus 32, Moses climbs up Mount Sinai to receive God's law written on stone tablets. While he's gone, the recently liberated Israelites decide to reject God, and they forge a golden calf to worship. The Lord tells Moses that he will destroy the people for their horrible rebellion. But Moses pleads with him in prayer to reconsider. Verse 14 records, "Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened." So did God change his mind? 1 Samuel 15:29 declares, "He who is the glory of Israel does not lie or change his mind, for he is not a human being that he should change his mind." And in Malachi we read, "I, the Lord, do not change." So consider this. God doesn't change, but he does allow us to change circumstances through prayer. Because God is perfect and sinless, he cannot be in the presence of what is imperfect and sinful. But God's response to those who cry out to him for compassion is always, always to show mercy. So when Moses prayed for the people, the circumstances changed. Before he prayed, they were under God's judgment because of their evil choices. After he prayed, they were brought under God's mercy. Think of it this way. If I went to a member of our parking team and said, "See my car? It's the silver Ford Focus parked on the right." Then after walking out to Black Rock Turnpike, I said, "See my car? It's the silver Focus parked on the left." Has my car moved? No. I've simply changed my position in relation to the vehicle. So when Moses wrote that the Lord relented, he was describing that his prayers had successfully changed the position of the people towards their God. Moses' prayer moved them into God's grace and mercy and out from underneath his judgment. And so can you as you pray. God sent Jonah to the Assyrian city of Nineveh to deliver a stern message that, due to the cruelty and idolatry of its citizens, he would utterly destroy the city in 40 days. Unexpectedly, the king of Nineveh called for a citywide repentance or turning away from evil, and we read the outcome in Jonah 3:10. When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened. This story shows that even though the Lord is absolutely unchanging in his character, he isn't locked into one direction with his actions. There are times when he will change what he has said so that he can be faithful to who he is. While it may seem to us that God has changed his mind, he's simply moving to be consistent with who he is and what he has planned. The Nineveh story shows how God responds to human actions in a way that harmonizes or brings together his justice with his mercy. When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened. The word poorly translated relented is the Hebrew term naham, that can also mean to bring comfort. So God found great comfort in the fact that he did not have to destroy the Ninevites. He didn't change his mind because God knows all things. He already knew that the Ninevites would decide to change their direction. God's actions are always a part of a master plan that he put into play long before the world's creation. Pastor Josh recently shared this observation with me. Gaylord, I think it's important, but also hard to explain how God does not change. But our prayers do have a real impact on reality. So does the Lord value our persistent, I won't give up prayers? As Pastor Josh claims, do they really impact reality? Well, I love this illustration from GotQuestions.org. A dad plans to give his son a car when he's 18 years old. He reasons that by that time he will have part-time work and will be able to pay for his own gas and his own insurance. The dad also plans to wait to give it to his son until the son asks for it, because he wants him to really appreciate this valuable gift. At age 16, the son starts to beg for a car. He bargains, pleads, and even gets mad at his dad when on his 17th birthday, there's still no vehicle. Finally, when he's 18, the son approaches his father with a more grown-up attitude, explains that he needs a car for work, and is ready to take good care of it. He even shows great confidence that his good father will take care of the need. The dad joyfully hands the keys to his son. Did the dad change his mind? No, he had always planned to give his son the car. Did the son need to ask with the right reasons and motivation? Absolutely. That was always part of the Father's plan. In the same way, our good Father invites us to ask him for all that we need. He is filled with joy to give good gifts to his children. And he knows we don't always understand his timing, but he expects us to trust and not doubt. James 1:6 says, when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. Also, our prayers help to align our will with God's will for us until his plans become our highest and greatest goal. Matthew 6:33, but seek first his kingdom, his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Finally, God promises to give us the desires of our hearts when those hearts are totally surrendered to him. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. The last line of this parable is a call to keep trusting God and seeking him in prayer no matter what. When the Son of Man comes, when Jesus returns, will he find faith on the earth? Will he find you and me praying, don't let go prayers? As our worship team returns, let's watch this inspiring video together.
Thanks for tuning into our sermon here at Black Rock. I'm so glad you found us, and I hope and pray this message helped you get more connected to Jesus. Speaking of connection, if you're interested in taking your next steps towards getting connected at Black Rock, use the quick links in the description below. There you'll find links for information if you're new, for upcoming events, online giving, and more. I also want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our podcast so you can stay up to date with everything we post. See you next week, either online or in person. Thanks for watching.